Hi, this is Dr. Eric Fields. I'm a psychologist specializing in gambling addiction. And today I want to talk about how sports betting in particular is really wreaking havoc on the financial industry. First, before I explain how it's having such a negative impact, let me tell you why people in the financial sector are so attracted to sports betting. So, for one, the financial industry obviously has an emphasis on money and wealth. And so, a lot of people who go into that industry are really motivated by money. And a lot of them are very competitive. It also attracts math minded individuals. And so gambling becomes a real attractive option for a lot of these people because it is a way of them possibly greatly increasing their income and ultimately their wealth. It's a way of getting ahead fast, at least in theory. And sports betting, with its emphasis on competition and sports, is real attractive to competitive people, people who really like to win. The other thing about sports betting is it can be a real viable option as an investment opportunity because a lot of financial roles have limits in terms of how much a person can participate in stock market trading, investing, et cetera, et cetera. So this is looked upon as a possible shortcut to really attain the wealth that a lot of these individuals have in their minds. And in these industries, it is so competitive because a lot of times the context that these companies, banks, financial institutions are in major metropolitan or urban cities like New York, where wealth seems rampant, especially if you're working for, a top tier financial institution and you see, these people in these high level positions rolling in their, top of the line Mercedes, Porsches, et cetera, with their drivers or what have you. It's really, kind of in your face, this wealth when you're working in this industry, especially in the context of a major city that draws a lot of people that are, you know, of a very high financial status. So this is why sports betting attracts so many people in the financial sector, and because sports betting has a lot to do with statistics, right? And trying to use statistics to predict outcomes, which is right part of the mathematics field. A lot of people falsely assume that because they're very good at math and especially statistics or predicting outcomes, that they're going to succeed very well in gambling. And so these folks are very vulnerable to this. And I can attest to this firsthand because I cannot begin to tell you how many people seek out my services who are in the financial sector and are really struggling with this issue. And so, because I've seen it firsthand, because I've seen so many financial professionals struggling with compulsive gambling, especially nowadays with the advent of its legalization, I've really seen and heard the impact that this is having on their job performance. So, if you're a C suite professional or you're in administration in some kind of financial institution, I want you to listen up. If you have suspicions that a good number of your employees are struggling with gambling addiction, let me tell you right now that those suspicions are very valid. And I'm willing to bet you, no pun intended, that it's far more rampant than you even suspect. And here is how it is wreaking havoc on the productivity of financial institutions. For one, you can gamble anywhere. Now that we all have these nifty smartphone devices, they make it extremely easy and accessible to gamble anywhere, anytime. And that does not even include the time that people spend doing research in terms of what teams might win and what the sports analysts are saying, and looking at different kinds of potential outcomes and spreads. People are spending hours a day either doing the actual gambling, researching for the gambling, obsessing about the gambling in terms of, oh my gosh, I hope that bet really hits, or oh my gosh, I really lost a lot of money just now. And then it's wreaking havoc on the person's mental health so that it affects their sleep. So they're coming to work with far less than the required amount of sleep that people need, especially in a high demand job such as the financial sector. And emotionally, they're coming in depressed, anxiety ridden because of their losses, because of the debt that they're accruing. And so, all these factors that are associated with compulsive gambling lead to a highly distractible employee who is really focused on their negative feelings, their negative thoughts and reactions to their behavior, and not very focused on the job at hand. And again, this is affecting other areas of their life, such as sleep and relationships, which compound the stress, and everything else. And so these people are not in a good position to perform at their best. You're talking about people that are just not able to sustain the focus that these high demand financial jobs really require. And so, what I will end with is this is an area of need. And I predict that it's not going to take too long before financial institutions start realizing the significant impact that the legalization of gambling has had on their productivity, on their workers' morale, functioning, focus, and outcome, performance. This is a niche that is going to need to be filled. And so you can kind of look at this video as my introduction to me throwing my hat in the ring and saying, I am going to start a program. I already have a lot of ideas in terms of content and how I am going to structure it, that this can be a service that is going to be invaluable to financial institutions. And let me also say that this is not only wreaking havoc on financial institutions, this is wreaking havoc on law firms, healthcare industry, many different sectors, but definitely the financial industry because it seems to be attracting financial professionals at a alarmingly high rate. This is Dr. Eric Fields, and if you think that this is going to be or has been or is a real issue for your institution, please reach out. I want to hear from you today.